It's about total control, abject slavery, where you just have to submit to everything, even groping of grandmothers and children.
Well, yeah.
How come nobody's taking pictures of the TSA agents groping 6-year-olds?
Because you're not allowed to take pictures of the TSA agents. They can take X-ray pictures of you,
See,
but you can't bring a camera and take pictures of them.
Remember, God, man, government, Constitution, then agencies underneath that line. Okay?
Weren't you the one that
That's
told...
how you come at them. That in the Federal Reserve Act, remember we said that the laws provide the remedy for sovereigns? That everything that the government passes, right, there's always a remedy in there for freemen to exercise that remedy. So the remedy for the Federal Reserve System and the tax system was to declare your compensation for your labor as lawful money. I've done it. I got the W-2 to prove it, that I have a zero tax liability for 2011 because I wrote a letter to my company, very simple letter, stating that from now on, all the compensation for my labor is to be considered lawful money per Title 12, United States Code Section 411. And that's the remedy to the Federal Reserve and the taxation. Lawful money, as we know, is in Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution in the United States, is gold and silver. Gold and silver cannot be taxed, and Bill's pretty up on that. You could buy a trailer truck load of silver or gold, and they couldn't charge you 1 penny of taxes on it. So the remedy is there because they had to provide the remedy for the sovereigns, which are the people, basically, depending on who you talk to. So when you declare that you are taking the remedy that was provided for you in the law, then the government will recognize that. But you have to do it in writing to them.
A lot of my audience has questions about
Right.
that because
It's an impossibility.
a lot of them view that they voluntarily get into debt, and therefore you have
Yes.
a moral obligation to pay back your debt that you incurred yourself. Some of them say, well, no, we have bankruptcy laws that protect citizens from debt.
Remember we discussed this a little bit last night, right? And this is the hardest concept of all to get your head around, right? That the debt is all fraud. There can be no debt where there is no money. The Supreme Court said, and our laws state that the law cannot require an impossibility. So, if I owe you something, can I take a debt instrument and give that to you and pay a debt?
With a debt.
With a debt.
The Federal Reserve note is a debt instrument.
So the fiat currency we're using is a debt
It's a
instrument.
debt
Exactly.
And what you're arguing is we shouldn't even have debts based upon that debt because it'll cancel each other out.
Right,
Make
because
any
it's
sense.
fraud. It's an impossibility.
If we are going to go in
It's
debt,
ludicrous.
if we are going to go into debt, it should be for gold or silver.
Right.
Okay.
See, it's impossible to pay. And that's why the law form changed between 1933 and 1938. Because before that time, all debt was bonded by gold and silver, or gold and silver-backed negotiable instruments.
So what's happening today is we go to the bank,
Yeah.
we get a phantom debt
Right.
from phantom money
That's created by
That they
your
get-
signature.
from my signature, and then when they go out of business, they get a phantom bailout with the phantom money from
Right.
the Federal Reserve.
It's all fake.
So it's all a big phantom fake
What
thing.
did the
But
Constitution
you actually
say?
use that phantom money to buy physical items.
No, you're not buying. You're discharging the debt. And that's why the economy is in such a shamble, because it's like musical chairs. We're passing the debt on, say there's only $1 printed amongst us. I owe him $1, I give him $1 for $1's worth of service, whatever, and I give him that Federal Reserve note. I didn't pay him, I just discharged my obligation to him.
So if
The
I got,
debt still exists.
It's a couple silver coins.
Right.
so if I have,
You give me some of that worthless paper in your pocket, and I
Right.
give you this. Who's making out on the deal?
See, you give me that for that worthless piece of paper. You just defrauded me. You cheated me. Remember? That's criminal. Because remember, the only crime there is defrauding people in your contracts, damaging their property, or harming them.
So you're saying to buy silver is illegal?
Hey, the system made it legal.
Illegal.
You're not buying it, you're discharging the obligation for it. But when you have that silver in your hand, you actually have lawful money that anything that you pay for with gold or silver cannot be taxed. Gold and silver cannot be taxed in any form, according
It's
to
not
the
that
laws.
many places take silver.
Oh, anybody that's got a brain will take it. See, these are private contracts. It's not in general circulation. It's illegal because of what they did in 1933 to have gold and silver in general circulation. There have been people that have gone into the court, quoted out of the state constitution like California's, which says that no state can accept the payment of a debt in anything except gold or silver. And they said to the judge, Judge, is there gold and silver in circulation in California? Then how can I pay that $200 fine for that ticket? Do you think they want that on the record or to be heard generally in the courtroom?
So if I've saved
Dismissed.
up and I got $10,000 in the
Yeah.
bank account,
Yeah.
you're saying I don't have $10,000.
No.
I have a debt.
You have $10,000 of debt.
And if I have a $100,000 mortgage on my house,
Right.
I have debt.
That's right.
So basically, all
But
around
the
you got
debt
debt.
is fraud. Our whole monetary system since 1933 has been based on fraud.
So the monetary Federal Reserve note
Right.
is fraudulent and illegal
Exact-
itself. But yet
No,
you,
it's legal. It says right on its face. What does it say?
it's
This
legal.
is legal tender for all debts, public and private.
So you're not breaking the law.
No, because they made it legal. It's not lawful.
It's not lawful.
The U.S.
It's legal but not lawful.
Right. And see, the TV shows and everything that brainwash people to believe that they're listening to real legal and lawful process never touch on this. But the Federal Reserve System, they're really telling you this is legal tender. But before that time, we had gold and silver certificates, remember? They were lawful tender, and they also had the clause on it that said that you can take that to the window of any Federal Reserve bank and exchange it for lawful currency,
So
which is gold or silver.
gold and silver are lawful and legal.
Yes,
Okay,
but more lawful.
they're
than
more
anything.
lawful.
That's right.
And
That's
Federal
lawful
Reserve
money.
notes, which we currently have,
Is
are
legal.
legal but not lawful.
Right, that's under de facto law, basically, statutory de facto law.
And if it's not legal, if it's not lawful, why do you use Federal Reserve notes on a daily basis?
Necessity. Out of necessity.
Why don't you stop using them on amoral grounds?
Out of necessity. Because right now I'm not making enough to purchase them. I purchased as much silver as I could when I could, or when I can, I should say, right? And because we know that if you've got 20 silver dimes, when they pull the rug out from this Federal Reserve System, one way or another, it's going to happen. It's ready to implode now. It's
Any
hanging by
minute.
a thread.
Okay, any minute.
That will be taken anywhere. Whereas you'll have to have a pickup truck load of Federal Reserve notes to buy a loaf of bread.
The Federal Reserve notes aren't even worth toilet paper. Toilet paper
right.
has more value because at least you can wipe your ass with it.
Right. Well, if you got enough of them, and I guess you bunch them up
Okay.
and
For
use
good,
Federal Reserve notes.
freedom-loving people that don't want to use the Federal Reserve note, what do we do now?
Barter.
Since-
Barter is one of the.
So you barter in exchange on Craigslist or with other people as much as you can.
As much as possible. We do. Amongst each other.
Interesting. So you
Yes.
create a community of similar beliefs, people have similar beliefs, and you try to trade items.
That's going to happen anyway. When this system implodes, that's the only way that there's going to be to survive until they put another system in place.
How about alternative currencies? Is that something that you think is the future?
Well, Montana and Dakota are experimenting with that. North Dakota are experimenting with that right now. But there are laws that they've written in the Federal Reserve Act that's basically given a monopoly to the banksters. You know what I'm talking about.
You're
right?
breaking the law if you create an alternative currency.
Yes, under their...
Now, are you breaking the law by doing all this bartering?
No. Oh, under the Patriot Act, yes. Under the Patriot Act, if you got more than 6 days of food in your pantry, you're breaking the law.
No way.
You ever read the...
Is that true?
Yes, go to Infowars.com and read the breakdown of the Patriot Act. You criminal.
What is it?
Hoarding.
Oh, okay.
More than 6 days worth of food.
Yeah,
Or
totally.
gas, or whatever.
You got a box of oatmeal that can sustain you for 6 days, you're a criminal.
Right. Everybody is a criminal.
I know a lot of people
Because-
that would much rather have these for real goods than a useless piece of green paper. Because they know the value of this, there's no value in a piece of green paper.
Yes, it's your faith in it. If somebody, see, remember the Constitution said that the money of the United States would be backed by the full faith and credit of the people. And they've used that against us. That they'd give us worthless pieces of paper with no backing whatsoever, but the people have faith in them that they're money.
It almost.
What happens when the
And
people
they're
lose the
stealing
faith?
our labor. When they hand you those Federal Reserve notes for your paycheck, right, your labor has been stolen because you have been given nothing of substance. You've been
And they
given a
hyperinflate
dream.
it by printing trillions
More
of
and
dollars
more
off
and
to go
more.
pay
Yeah,
for the
something tells
wars.
me it's-
Exactly. You
They're-
work harder every year for less. They're stealing our labor.
And that's why we're having higher gas prices,
Right.
higher grocery store prices.
Right.
But people don't see this. They
Yes,
just
it's the
see
hidden thief is inflation.
That's why the system is doomed.
Yes.
It's doomed to fail.
I hear
it's
it.
already
was
in the
created
process
to
of being
fail.
doomed.
Failing.
It was created to fail.
People are pulling their hair out just trying to figure out what's going on,
Exactly.
but really
Because they
we're
trust
having
the
an imploding.
government,
We're having an imploding of the system.
The people believe that the government loves them.
Yeah.
That's why they don't want to see the poison in the water and in the air and in the food and everything else that the government authorizes. Yet they'll shut down a vitamin company if one person out of a million overdoses by taking a bottle full of any vitamin or mineral.
What's your opinion on filing income taxes? State, federal, all that.
Okay. Because it all comes back to the private for-profit corporation called the Internal Revenue Service. We
Isn't
know
it-
that only corporations are taxed. Okay? The labor of a man, like gold and silver, cannot be taxed according to all of our laws. It's in there. That's not my opinion, right? Now, if I say that, people go, oh, yeah, right, you're full of it. I can show people this in the tax code
It's going to court too.
and in the
If
Constitution.
you were in the founding fathers' time,
They
and you
knew
went-
this.
and you went up to a blacksmith and you said, I'm going to try to determine how much you're making every year, and I'm going to take a portion of that for the state, that would be ludicrous and
They're going to
absurd.
run you out with a hot poker.
But yet, that's what they do today to the McDonald's worker
Yes.
or anybody.
Yes, they're taxing their labor, their compensation for labor. Compensation for labor is not taxed. Income is taxed. When you look into their codes and statutes for definitions, the definition of income, and we all commit fraud when we've signed 1040s stating that we had income. That's criminal fraud. Because income, according to their definitions, is corporate or is profit severed from corporate earnings. Labor, compensation for labor is not taxable, never has been. It's been through fraud and deception that
So you
they
believe
convinced the people.
You believe the 9-to-5 job paycheck should be untaxed entirely.
No, I don't believe that. The people that wrote our laws believe that.
But yet, it's not. That's not the practice.
We
Fraud
don't. We
and
shouldn't pay
deception.
taxes at all, dude.
Fraud and deception. That's how.
No.
That's the rule of the day. It's fraud and deception. That we voluntarily do it. Nobody's twisted our arms and told us to make us fill out the W-4s. We did it because people we trusted, our fathers and our brothers, our mothers told us we had to do it.
If you don't file income taxes,
And what it's like
the
not
IRS
getting
is
a
going to
license.
come after you and audit you and throw
If
you
you
in
make
jail.
a certain amount of money, they'd lose money to go after everybody. After
Yeah.
you make a certain.
But not
point.
everybody's doing it. They're going to target you.
Well, there are millions of people that aren't, and a lot of them are government employees that aren't filing their income taxes, because a lot of the people in the system know.
Really?
Yes, the IRS put those figures out. that a couple years ago they had stated, one of the IRS commissioners stated that there was something like 2 million, there's like 16 million government employees or something like that, federal government employees. They were saying that something like 1 to 2 million of them weren't paying their taxes.
Isn't there a court
So
case that you...
federal government employees aren't
Right.
even paying their taxes.
There's a court case, a federal court case where the judge ruled in favor, the jury ruled in favor of the defendants, is that correct?
Oh, there's
Not-
plenty of
on-
them.
on tax. for
But
not
they
paying
keep
tax.
these low profile. When the IRS slam dunks somebody, it's big news. It's like banner headlines, right? Skywritten. But when people beat the IRS on those issues, they slink away with their tail between their legs.
There are cases that you...
Okay, so you can fight the law, or you can fight the IRS.
No,
sometimes
you're
and
not
win.
fighting the IRS. You're bringing forth the law. Remember, we're not fighting anybody. What we're doing is we are merely bringing forth their own laws and using their own laws for our benefit, which is why they were written.
What do you do, and I'm sorry if I'm changing gears too fast, but what do you do if you own property, okay, and then at the end of the year or halfway through the year you get that property tax,
See,
and you have to pay those property taxes? What's your opinion on that? Why did that get started? Is, of course,
the
you don't agree with
Brushaber
it.
case in 1938 says that property, land, was basically like gold and silver. It can't be taxed. Now, I've told people that were landowners that complained to me about paying property taxes. I told them, well, the Brushaber case was a Supreme Court case in 1938 that stated that land, your property, was untaxable, like gold, like in the nature of gold and silver and labor. Said basically like labor, it was not to be taxed. How come the attorneys aren't pouncing on that and saving people millions of dollars a year in unjust taxation? Because we know the answer to that. The attorneys are part of the problem. They're the word twisters that are coming in and twisting the law to use it as a weapon against the people rather than for the people's benefit.
A lot of
Which is the
people on my
way-
YouTube channel says it's pointless to own real estate because the government can just take it from
Right,
you through
because-
property taxes.
Another Supreme
And
Court
property
case.
taxes are very high.
Oh, but we got to back up a little bit too. We remember in 1933, in the bankrupt corporation, the United States, when it went bankrupt, it took all property, all ownership of all property, as a pledge to pay the banksters off, who the manipulated debt was owed to. Yes, you can't own anything. And in reality, take it all the way back to God. No man can own anything. We're only given stewardship over it.
Like what you were saying.
Right. And the
So-
government says likewise. All property, all ownership of property is in the state. But the state has allowed, the state is a name. The people are living, breathing people that build things and make things. The state's just a name on a piece of paper. So we are stewards over that property, but we can't really own it.
So you don't believe in property taxes?
Well, I have to say again, the laws state that property taxes are not necessary. The Brushaber case, look up the Brushaber case,
How would you pay for
1938.
schools?
How we pay for anything. See how convoluted this is? The laws are written in such a way as to cause confusion. Right? We can't pay anything since they took lawful money out of circulation. We can only discharge debt. But there are ways to discharge those debts. If I got a bill from the property tax people, I would discharge it.
And would they agree with you, or would they come after your property?
No, they would agree with it. They know what it is.
You've had experience in this, apparently.
Well, I've talked to them about it, but I haven't really spent a lot of time talking to a whole lot of people about this. I know people that, remember I told you I discharged a medical bill for an operation that I had a couple years back. And I think that I said that since that time the system adjusted against that method that we were doing. But now there's a more perfect method which is being recognized by the Federal Reserve System, and they're not reacting to it adversely.
What is that system? Can you let us know?
Well, I'd have to turn you on to certain individuals, and I'll do that privately because they like to remain private.
Okay.
But if you contact them, they would be glad to.
Well,
give
these
you
remedies should be available to everybody, but
Sure,
the
they
problem is
are.
when they are available to everybody, then the
Yes.
government says
That's what these
we're going to
people
shut
want.
them down.
That no, that hasn't happened in this instance. You know John. You've met John, right?
Yeah.
Osika. He can show you the title to his property that the state sent him, that he's now holding true title to his property by using this method to discharge the debt on his property.
Wow.
Yeah, the state.
Do you have any? Do you have any
I will
comment?
give you the information for you to contact these people and get in touch with them. And I'm sure that your readership will be very, very interested because they will show you. And like I said, they're not about discharging debt. They're more about teaching people the law, the remedy is in the law, and how to use that remedy to gain personal freedom. That's what they're
That's the
more
whole
about.
goal: is personal freedom.
That's right.
And
For as long as possible. We know about the camps and all of that stuff. We may not be able to maintain this freedom very long, but why not make the most of it while you can?
while you can.
While you can.
And Bill, you may want to comment on this. What's your thoughts about utility companies having right of access and being able to force property owners to install certain things on your property?
Like the smart meters.
Like the smart meters. You have an opinion on the smart meters.
Yes, please.
Yeah, formulate my opinion here. Yeah, I don't think they have a right to come on my property and install something on my property. They don't have a right, it's not, I don't think that they have no right to do this, but they're doing it at the threat of gunpoint.
Yes, they're private municipal corporations that are using the police power
Using
to
police
enforce
powers.
their will.
To enforce their will.
And they're
I
putting,
refuse to have it put on my house, but they told me they'd be back with sheriffs and do it. And they
so
would do
a
it.
microwave technology device, they're putting that on your meter that some people believe is dangerous, that it has dangerous
Because
Oh, yes.
Your health and your children's health.
Proven.
It can
Proven.
harm your health, your children's health.
Proven. Just
But-
like a microwave oven. I got rid of mine. But your neighbors, these fields can sometimes go 200 or 300 meters.
How did you get